हेलो फ्रेंड्स, नमस्ते, आदाब, सत श्री अकाल। मैं प्रोफेसर दत्तात्रेय गुड़के आप सभी का फिर से एक बार स्वागत करता हूँ आपके चहेते शो में, जिसका नाम है रीड विथ मी। चलिए कुछ अच्छा सुनते हैं। In earlier few episodes, we have started reading a very special book which is entitled as The Power of Your Subconscious Mind. And already we have completed almost first 10 chapters of this book as far as that part 1 and part 2 is concerned. If you have missed any of the chapter from this book, you can find the link of the video of part 1 and part 2 in the description box as well as in the comment section. आप वहां पे जा सकते हैं और यू कैन डीपन योर लर्निंग। ओके, चलिए लेट अस गेट अहेड विद द नेक्स्ट चैप्टर ऑफ पार्ट 3, चैप्टर नंबर 11, योर सबकॉन्शियस माइंड एज अ पार्टनर इन सक्सेस। Success means successful living. A long period of peace, joy, and happiness on this plane may be termed success. The eternal experience of these qualities is everlasting life spoken of by Jesus. The real things of life, such as peace, harmony, integrity, security, and happiness, are intangible. They came from the deep self of man. Meditating on these qualities build these treasures of heaven in our subconscious. It is where moth and the rust do not consume and where thieves do not break through and steal. Mark 6:20. The 3 steps to success. Let us discuss 3 steps to success. The first step to success is to find out the thing you love to do, then do it. Success is in loving your work. Although if a man is a psychiatrist, it is not adequate for him to get a diploma and place it on the wall. He must keep up with the times, attend conventions, and continue studying the mind and its workings. The successful psychiatrist visits clinics and reads the latest scientific articles. In other words, he is informed in the most advanced methods of alleviating human suffering. The successful psychiatrist or doctor must have the interest of his patients at heart. Someone may say, how can I put the first step into operation? I do not have what I should do. In such a case, pray for guidance as follows. The infinite intelligence of my subconscious mind reveals to me my true place in a life. Repeat this prayer quietly, positively, and lovingly to your deepened mind. As you persist with faith and confidence, the answer will come to you as a feeling, a hunch, or a tendency in a certain direction. It will come to you clearly and in peace and as an inner silent awareness. The second step to success is to specialize in some particular branch of work and know more about it than anyone else. For example, if a young man chooses chemistry as his profession, he should concentrate on one of the many branches in this field. He should give all his time and attention to his chosen specialty. He should become sufficiently enthusiastic to try to know all there is available about his field. If possible, he should know more than anyone else. The young man should become ardently interested in his work and should desire to serve the world. He that is greatest among you, let him become your servant. There is a great contrast in this attitude of mind in comparison to that of the man who only wants to make a living or just get by. Getting by is not a true success. Man's motive must be greater, nobler, and more altruistic. He must serve others, thereby casting his bread upon the waters. The third step is the most important one. You must be sure that the thing you want to do does not redound to your success only. Your desire must not be selfish, it must benefit humanity. The path of a complete circuit must be formed. In other words, your idea must go forth with the purpose of blessing or serving the world. It will then come back to you pressed down, shaken together, and running over. If it is to benefit yourself exclusively, the circle or complete circuit is not formed, and you may experience a short circuit in your life which may consist of limitation or sickness. The measure of a true success. Some people may say, but Mr. James made a fortune in selling fraudulent oil stock. A man may seem to succeed for a while, but the money he obtained by fraud usually takes wings and flies away. When we rob from another, we rob from ourselves because we are in a mood of lack and limitation, which may manifest itself in our body, home life, and affairs. What we think and feel, we create. We create what we believe. Even though a man may have accumulated a fortune of fidelity, he is not successful. There is no success without peace of mind. What good is a man's accumulated wealth if he cannot sleep night, is sick, or has a guilt complex? I knew a man in London who told me of his exploits. He had been a professional pickpocket and had amassed a large amount of money. He had a summer home in France and lived in a royal fashion in England. His story was that he was in a constant dread of being arrested by Scotland Yard. He had many inner disorders which were undoubtedly caused by his constant fear and a deep-seated guilt complex. He knew he had done wrong. This deep sense of guilt attracted all kinds of trouble to him. Subsequently, he voluntarily surrendered to the police and served a prison sentence. After his release from the prison, he sought psychological and spiritual counsel and became transformed. He went to work and became an honest, law-abiding citizen. He found what he loved to do and was happy. A successful person loves his work and expresses himself fully. Success is contingent upon a higher ideal than the mere accumulation of riches. The man of success is the man who possesses great psychological and spiritual understanding. Many of the great industrialists today depend upon the correct use of their subconscious minds for their success. There was an article published some years ago about Flagger, an oil magnate. He admitted that the secret of his success was his ability to see a project in its completion. For instance, in this case, he closed his eyes, imagined a big oil industry, saw trains running on tracks, heard whistles blowing, and saw smoke. Having seen and felt the fulfillment of his prayer, his subconscious mind brought about its realization. If you imagine an objective clearly, you will be provided with the necessities in ways you know not of through the wonder-working power of your subconscious mind. In considering the 3 steps to success, you must never forget the underlying power of the creative forces of your subconscious mind. This is the energy in the back of all steps in any plan of success. Your thought is creative. Thought fused with feeling becomes a subjective faith or belief, and according to your belief is it done unto you. Knowledge of a mighty force in you, which is capable of bringing to pass all your desires, gives you confidence and a sense of peace. Whatever your field of action may be, you should learn the laws of your subconscious mind. When you know how to apply the powers of your mind, and when you are expressing yourself fully and giving up your talents to others, you are on the sure path to true success. If you are about God's business or any part of it, God by his very nature is for you, so who can be against you? With this understanding, there is no power in heaven or on earth to withhold success from you. How he made his dream come true. A movie actor told me that he had very little education, but he had a dream as a boy of becoming a successful movie actor. Out in the field of mowing hay, driving the cow home, or even when milking them, he said, I would constantly imagine I saw my name in big lights at a large theater. I kept this up for years until finally I ran away from home. I got extra jobs in the motion picture field, and the day finally came when I saw my name in great big lights as I did when I was a boy. Then he added, I knew the power of sustained imagination to bring success. His dream pharmacy became a reality. 30 years ago, I knew a young pharmacist who was receiving $40 a week plus commission on sales. After 25 years, he said to me, I will get a pension and retire. I said to this young man, why don't you own your own store? Get out of this place, raise your size, have a dream for your children. Maybe your son wants to be a doctor, perhaps your daughter desires to be a great musician. His answer was that he had no money. He began to awaken to the fact that whatever he could conceive as a true, he could give conception. The first step towards his goal was his awakening to the powers of his subconscious mind, which I briefly elaborated on for his benefit. His second step was his realization that if he could succeed in conveying an idea to his subconscious mind, the latter would somehow bring it to pass. He began to imagine that he was in his own store. He mentally arranged the bottles, dispensed prescriptions, and imagined the several clerks in the store waiting on customers. He also visualized a big bank balance. Mentally, he worked in that imaginary store like an actor. He lived the role. Act as though I am and I will be. This pharmacist put himself wholeheartedly into the act, living, moving, and acting on the assumption that he owned the store. The sequel was interesting. He was discharged from his position. He found new employment with a large chain store, became a manager, and later on district manager. He saved enough money in 4 years to provide a down payment on a drug store of his own. He called it his dream pharmacy. It was, he said, exactly the store I saw in my imagination. He became a recognized success in his chosen field and was happy doing what he loved to do. Using the subconscious mind in business. Some years ago, I gave a lecture to a group of businessmen on the powers of imagination and the subconscious mind. In this lecture, I pointed out how Jyoti used his imagination wisely when confronted with difficulties and predicaments. His biographers point out that he was accustomed to feel many hours quietly holding imaginary conversations. It is well known that his custom was to imagine one of his friends before him in a chair answering him in the right way. In other words, if he were concerned over any problems, he imagined his friend giving him the right or appropriate answer, accompanied with the usual gestures and toned qualities of voice, and he made the entire imaginary scene as real and as vivid as possible. One of the men present at this lecture was a young stockbroker. He proceeded to adapt the technique of Jyoti. He began to have mental imaginary conversation with a multimillionaire banker friend of his and who used to congratulate him on his wise and sound judgment and compliment him on his purchase of the right stocks. He used to dramatize this imaginary conversation until he had psychologically fixed it as a form of belief in his mind. This broker's inner talking and controlled imagination certainly agreed with his aim, which was to make sound investments for his clients. His main purpose in life was to make money for his clients and to see them prosper financially by his wise counsel. He is still using his subconscious mind in his business, and he is a brilliant success in his field of endeavor. Boy of 16 years turns failure into success. A young boy who was attending high school said to me, I am getting very poor grades. My memory is failing. I do not know what is the matter. I discovered that only thing wrong with this boy was his attitude, which was one of the indifference and resentment towards some of his teachers and fellow students. I taught him how to use his subconscious mind and how to succeed in his life, in his studies. He began to affirm certain truths several times a day, particularly at night prior to sleep, and also in the morning after awakening. These are the best times to impregnate the subconscious mind. He affirmed as follows: I realize that my subconscious mind is a storehouse of memory. It retains everything I read and hear from my teachers. I have a perfect memory, and the infinite intelligence in my subconscious mind constantly reveals to me everything I need to know at all my examinations, whether written or oral. I radiate love and goodwill to all my teachers and fellow students. I sincerely wish for them success and all good things. This young man is now enjoying a greater freedom than he has ever known. He is now receiving all as he constantly imagines the teachers and his mother congratulating him on his success in his studies. How to become successful in buying and selling? In buying and selling, remember that your conscious mind is the starter and your subconscious mind is the motor. You must start motor to enable it to perform its work. Your conscious mind is the dynamo that awakens the power of your subconscious mind. The first step in conveying your clarified desires, idea, or image to the deeper mind is to relax, immobilize the attention, get still, and be quiet. This quiet, relaxed, and peaceful attitude of the mind prevents extraneous matter and false ideas from interfering with your mental absorption of your ideal. Furthermore, in the quiet, passive, and receptive attitude of mind, effort is reduced to a minimum. The second step is to begin to imagine the reality of that which you desire. For example, you may wish to buy a home, and in your relaxed state of mind affirms as follows: the infinite intelligence of my subconscious mind is all wise. It reveals to me now the ideal home, which is a central ideal, is in a lovely environment, meets with all my requirements, and the commercial with my income. I am now turning this request over to my subconscious mind, and I know it responds according to the nature of my request. I release this request with absolute faith and confidence, in the same way that a farmer deposits a seed in the ground, trusting implicitly in the laws of growth. The answer to your prayer may come through an advertisement in the paper, through a friend, or you may be guided directly to a particular home, which is exactly what you are seeking. There are many ways by which your prayer may be answered. The principal knowledge in which you may place your confidence is that the answer always comes, provided you trust the working of your deeper mind. You may wish to sell a home, land, or any kind of property. In a private consultation with real estate brokers, I have told them of the way I sold my own home on Orlando Avenue in Los Angeles. Many of them have applied the technique I used with remarkable and speedy results. I placed a sign which read, "For sale by owner," in the garden in front of my home. The day after, I said to myself as I was going to sleep, "Supposing you sold your home, what would you do?" I answered my own question and said, "I would take that sign down and throw it into the garage." In my imagination, I took hold of sign, pulled it up from the ground, placed it on my shoulder, went to the garage, threw it on the floor, and said jokingly the sign, I don't need you anymore. I felt the inner satisfaction of it all, realizing it was finished. The next day, a man gave me a deposit of $1,000 and said to me, "Take your sign down, we will go into escrow now." Immediately, I pulled the sign up and took it to the garage. The outer action confirmed to the inner, there is nothing new about this. As within, so without. Meaning according to the image impressed on your subconscious mind. So, it is on the objective screen of your life, the outside mirrors the inside. External action follows internal action. Here is another very popular method used in selling homes, land, or any kind of property. Affirm slowly, quietly, and feelingly as follows. Infinite intelligence attracts to me the buyer for this home who wants it and who prospers in it. This buyer is being sent to me by a creative intelligence of my subconscious mind, which makes no mistake. This buyer may look at many other homes, but mine is the only one he wants and will buy because he is guided by the infinite intelligence within me. I know the buyer is right, the time is right, and the price is right. Everything about it is right. The deeper currents of my subconscious mind are now in operation, bringing both of us together in a divine order. I know that it is so. Remember always that what you are seeking is also seeking you, and whenever you want to sell a home or property of any kind, there is always someone who wants what you have to offer by using the powers of your subconscious mind correctly. You free your mind of all sense of competition and anxiety in buying and selling. How she succeeded in getting what she wanted. There is a young lady who regularly comes to my lectures and classes. She had to change buses 3 times. It took her 1.5 hours each time to come to the lectures. In one lecture, I explained how a young man who needed a car in his work received one. She went home and experimented as outlined in my lecture. Here is her letter in part narrating her application of my method and published by her permission. Dear Dr. Murphy, this is how I received a Cadillac car. I wanted one to come to the lectures regularly. In my imagination, I went through an identical process I would go through if I were actually driving a car. I went to the showroom and the salesman took me for a ride in one. I also drove it several blocks. I claimed the Cadillac car as my own over and over again. I kept the mental picture of getting into the car, driving it, feeling the upholstery, etc., consistently for over 2 weeks. Last week I drove to your lecture in a Cadillac. My uncle in the Eaglewood passed away and left me his Cadillac and his entire estate. A success technique employed by many outstanding executives and businessmen. There are many prominent businessmen who quietly use the abstract term success over and over many times a day until they reach a conviction that success is theirs. They know that the idea of success contains all the essential elements of success. Likewise, you can begin now to repeat the word success to yourself with faith and conviction. Your subconscious mind will accept it as true of you, and you will be under a subconscious compulsion to succeed. You are compelled to express your subjective beliefs, impressions, and convictions. What does success imply to you? You want undoubtedly to be successful in your home life and in your relationship with others. You wish to be outstanding in your chosen work or profession. You wish to possess a beautiful home and all the money you need to live comfortably and happily. You want to be successful in your prayer life and in your contact with the powers of your subconscious mind. You are a businessman. You are a businessman also because you are in the business of living. Become a successful businessman by imagining yourself doing what you long to do and possessing the things you long to possess. Become imaginative, mentally participate in the reality of the successful state. Make a habit of it. Go to sleep feeling successful every night and perfectly satisfied, and you will eventually succeed in implanting the ideas of success in your subconscious mind. Believe you were born to succeed, and wonders will happen as you pray. That's it as chapter number 11 is concerned. Let us have a look at profitable pointers of chapter number 11. First, success means successful living. When you are peaceful, happy, joyous, and doing what you love to do, you are successful. Second, find out what you love to do and then do it. If you don't know your true expression, ask for guidance and the lead will come. Third, specialize in your particular field and try to know more about it than anyone else. Fourth, a successful man is not selfish. His main desire in life is to serve humanity. Fifth, there is no true success without peace of mind. Sixth, a successful man possesses great psychological and spiritual understanding. Seventh one, if you imagine an objective clearly, you will be provided with the necessities through the wonder-working power of your subconscious mind. 8. Your thought fused with feeling becomes a subjective belief, and according to your belief is it done unto you. 9th one, the power of sustained imagination draws forth the miracle working power of your subconscious mind. And 10th, if you are seeking promotion in your work, imagine your employer, supervisor, or loved one congratulating you on your promotion. Make the picture vivid and real. Hear the voice, see gestures, and feel the reality of it all. Continue to do this frequently, and through frequent occupancy of your mind, you will experience the joy of the answered prayer. 11th one, your subconscious mind is a storehouse of memory. For a perfect memory affirmed frequently, the infinite intelligence of my subconscious mind reveals to me everything I need to know at all times everywhere. 12th one, if you wish to sell a home or a property of any kind, affirm slowly, quietly, and feelingly as follows. Infinite intelligence attracts to me the buyer for this house or property who wants it and who prospers in it. Sustain this awareness, and the deeper currents of your subconscious mind will bring it to pass. 13th one, the idea of success contains all the elements of success. Repeat the word success to yourself frequently with faith and conviction, and you will be under a subconscious compulsion to succeed. Let us get ahead with the chapter number 12. Scientists use the subconscious mind. Many scientists realize the true importance of subconscious mind. Edison, Marconi, Kettering, Poincaré, Einstein, and many others have used the subconscious mind. It has given them the insight and the know-how for all their great achievements in modern science and industry. Research has shown that the ability to bring into action the subconscious power has determined the success of all the great scientific and research workers. An instance of how a famous chemist, Friedrich von Strandzoin, used his subconscious mind to solve his problem is as follows. He had been working laboriously for a long time trying to rearrange the 6 carbon and 6 hydrogen atoms of the benzene formula, and he was constantly perplexed and unable to solve the matter. Tired and exhausted, he turned the request over completely to his subconscious mind. Shortly afterwards, as he was about to board a London bus, his subconscious presented his conscious mind with a sudden flash of the snake biting its own tail and turning around like a pinwheel. This, this answer from his subconscious mind gave him the long sought answer of the circular rearrangement of the atoms that is known as a benzene ring. How a distinguished scientist brought forth his inventions. Nikola Tesla was a brilliant electrical scientist who brought forth the most amazing innovations. When an idea for a new invention came into his mind, he would build it up in his imagination, knowing that his subconscious mind would reconstruct and reveal to his conscious mind all the parts needed for its manufacture in concrete form. Through quietly contemplating every possible improvement, he spent no time in correcting defects and was able to give the technicians the perfect product of his mind. He said, "Invariably, my device works as I imagined it should. In 20 years, there has not been a single exception." How a famous naturalist solved his problem. Professor Agassiz, a distinguished American naturalist, discovered indefeasible activities of his subconscious mind while he slept. His widow, in her biography of her famous husband, has reported the following: "He had been for 2 weeks striving to decipher the somewhat obscure impression of the fossil fish on the stone slab in which it was preserved. Weary and perplexed, he put his work aside at last and tried to dismiss it from his mind. Shortly after, he worked one night, persuaded that while asleep he had seen his fish with all the missing features perfectly restored. But when he tried to hold and make fast, the image of escaped him. Nevertheless, he went early to the Jardin des Plantes, thinking that on looking anew at the impression he should see something which would put him on the track of his vision. In vain, the blurred record was as black as ever. The next night he saw the fish again, but with no more satisfactory results. When he awoke, it disappeared from his memory as before. Hoping that the same experience might be repeated on the third night, he placed a pencil and paper beside his bed before going to sleep. Accordingly, toward morning, the fish reappeared in his dream, confusedly at first, but at last with such distinctness that he had no longer any doubt as to its zoological characters. Still half dreaming in perfect darkness, he traced these characters on the sheet of paper at the bedside. In the morning, he was surprised to see in his nocturnal sketch features which he thought it impossible the fossil itself should reveal. He hastened to the Jardin des Plantes and, with his drawing as a guide, succeeded in chiseling away the surface of the stone under which portions of the fish proved to be hidden. When wholly exposed, it corresponded with his dream and his drawing, and he succeeded in classifying it with ease. An outstanding physician solved the problem on diabetes. Some years ago, I received a clipping from a magazine describing the origin of discovery of insulin. This is the essence of the article as I recall it. About 40 years ago or more, Dr. Frederick Banting, a brilliant Canadian physician and surgeon, was concentrating his attention on the ravages of diabetes. At that time, medical science offered no effective method of arresting the disease. Dr. Banting spent considerable time experimenting and studying the international literature on the subject. One night he was exhausted and fell asleep. While asleep, his subconscious mind instructed him to extract the residue from the degenerated pancreatic duct of dogs. This was the origin of insulin, which has helped millions of people. You will note that Dr. Banting had been consciously dwelling on the problem for some time, seeking a solution, a way out, and his subconscious responded accordingly. It does not follow that you will always get an answer overnight. The answers may not come for some time. Do not be discouraged. Keep on turning the problem over every night to the subconscious mind prior to sleep, as if you had never done it before. One of the reasons for the delay may be that you look upon it as a major problem. You may believe it will take a long time to solve it. Your subconscious mind is timeless and spaceless. Go to sleep believing you have the answer now. Do not postulate the answer in the future. Have an abiding faith in the outcome. Become convinced now as you read this book that there is an answer and a perfect solution for you. How a famous scientist and physicist escaped from a Russian concentration camp. Dr. Lothar von Blankskemit, a member of the Rocket Society and an outstanding research electronic engineer, gives the following condensed summary of how he used his subconscious mind to free himself from the certain death at the hands of brutal guards in a Russian prison camp coal mine. He states as follows: I was a prisoner of war in a coal mine in Russia, and I saw men dying all around me in that prison compound. We were watched over by a brutal guards, arrogant officers, and sharp, fast-thinking commissioners. After a short medical checkup, a quota of coal was assigned to each person. My quota was 300 pounds per day. In case any man did not fill his quota, his small food ration was cut down, and in a short time he was resting in the cemetery. I started concentrating on my escape. I knew that my subconscious mind would somehow find a way. My home in Germany was destroyed, my family wiped out, all my friends and former associates were either killed in the war or were in concentration camp. I said to my subconscious mind, I want to go to Los Angeles and you will find the way. I had seen the pictures of Los Angeles, and I remembered some of the boulevards very well, as well as some of the buildings. Every day and night I would imagine I was walking down Wilshire Boulevard with an American girl whom I met in Berlin prior to the war. She is now my wife. In my imagination, we would visit the stores, ride buses, and eat in restaurants. Every night I made it a special point to drive my imaginary American automobile up and down in the progress of Los Angeles. I made all this vivid and real. These pictures in my mind were as real and as natural to me as one of the trees outside the prison camp. Every morning, the chief guard would count the prisoners as they were lined up. He would call out 1, 2, 3, etc. And when 17 was called out, which was my number in sequence, I stepped aside. In the meantime, the guard was called away for a minute or so, and on his return, he started by mistake on the next man as number 17. When the crew returned in the evening, the number of men was the same, and I was not missed, and the discovery would take a long time. I walked out of the camp undetected and kept walking for 24 hours, resting in a deserted town the next day. I was able to live by fishing and killing some wildlife. I found coal trains going to Poland and traveled on them by night until finally I reached Poland. With the help of friends, I made my way to Lucerne, Switzerland. One evening at the Palace Hotel, Lucerne, I had a talk with a man and his wife from the United States of America. This man asked me if I would care to be a guest at his home in Santa Monica, California. I accepted, and when I arrived in Los Angeles, I found that their chauffeur drove me along Wilshire Boulevard and many other boulevards which I had imagined so vividly in the long months in the Russian coal mines. I recognized the building which I had seen in my mind so often. It actually seemed as if I had been in Los Angeles before I had reached my goal. I will never cease to marvel at the wonders of subconscious mind. Truly, it has ways we know not of. How archaeologists and paleontologists reconstruct ancient scenes. These scientists know that their subconscious mind has a memory of everything that has ever transpired. As they study the ancient ruins and fossils through their imaginative perceptions, their subconscious mind aids them in reconstructing the ancient scenes. The dead past becomes alive and audible once more. Looking at these ancient temples and studying the poetry, statuary, tools, and household utensils of these ancient times, the scientists tell us of an age when there was no language. Communication was done by grunts, groans, and signs. The keen concentration and disciplined imagination of the scientist awakens the latent powers of his subconscious mind, enabling him to clothe the ancient temples with roof and surround them with gardens, pools, and fountains. The fossil remains are clothed with eyes, sinews, and muscles, and they again walk and talk. The past becomes the living present, and we find that in mind there is no time or space. Through disciplined, controlled, and directed imagination, you can be a companion of the most scientific and inspired thinkers of all time. How to receive guidance from your subconscious. When you have what you term a difficult decision to make, or when you fail to see the solution to your problem, begin at once to think constructively about it. If you are fearful and worried, you are not really thinking. True thinking is free from fear. Here is a simple technique you can use to receive guidance on any subject. Quiet the mind and still the body. Tell the body to relax, it has to obey you. It has no volition, initiative, and self-conscious intelligence. Your body is an emotional disk which records your beliefs and impressions. Mobilize your attention, focus your thoughts on the solution to your problem. Try to solve it with your conscious mind. Think of how happy you would be about the perfect solution. Sense the feeling you would have if the perfect answer were yours now. Let your mind play with this mood in a relaxed way, then drop off to sleep. Then when you awaken and you do not have the answer, get busy about something else. Probably when you are preoccupied with something else, the answer will come into your mind like toast pops out of a toaster. In receiving guidance from the subconscious mind, the simple way is the best. This is an illustration. I once lost a valuable ring which was an heirloom. I looked everywhere for it and could not locate it. At night, I talked to the subconscious in the same manner that I could talk to anyone. I said to it prior to dropping off to sleep, "You know all things, you know where that ring is, and you now reveal to me where it is." In the morning, I awoke suddenly with the words ringing in my ear, "Ask Robert." I thought it very strange that I should ask Robert, a young boy about 9 years of age. However, I followed the inner voice of intuition. Robert said, "Oh yes, I picked it up in the yard while I was playing with the boys. I placed it on the desk in my room. I did not think it worth anything, so I did not say anything about it." The subconscious mind will always answer you if you trust it. His subconscious revealed the location of his father's will. A young man who attends my lectures had this experience. His father died and apparently left no will. However, this man's sister told him that their father had confided to her that a will had been executed which was fair to all. Every attempt to locate the will failed. Prior to sleep, he talked to his deeper mind as follows: "I now turn this request over the subconscious mind. It know just where that will is and reveal it to me. Then he condensed his request down to one word answer, repeating it over and over again as a lullaby. He lulled himself to sleep with the words answer. The next morning, this young man had an overpowering hunch to go to a certain bank in Los Angeles where he found a safe deposit vault registered in the name of his father, the contents of which solved all his problems. Your thought as you go to sleep arouses the powerful latency which is within you. For example, let us suppose you are wondering whether to sell your home, buy a certain stock, severe partnership, move to New York to stay in Los Angeles, dissolve the present contract or take a new one. Do this, sit quietly in your armchair or at the desk in your office. Remember that there is a universal law of action and reaction. The action is your thought, the reaction is the response from your subconscious mind. The subconscious mind is reactive and reflexive. This is its nature. It rebounds, rewards, and repays. It is the law of correspondence. It responds by corresponding. As you contemplate a right action, you will automatically experience a reaction or response in yourself, which represents the guidance or answer of your subconscious mind. In seeking guidance, you simply think quietly about a right action, which means that you are using the infinite intelligence resident in the subconscious mind to the point where it begins to use you. From there on, your course of action is directed and controlled by the subjective wisdom within you, which is all wise and omnipotent. Your decision will be right. There will be a right action because you are under a subjective compulsion to do the right thing. I use the word compulsion because the law of subconscious is a compulsion, the secret of guidance. The secret of guidance or right action is to mentally devote yourself to the right answer until you find its a response in you. The response is a feeling, an inner awareness, and an overpowering hunch whereby you know that you know. You have used the power to point where it begins to use you. You cannot possibly fail or make one false step while operating under the subjective wisdom within you. You will find that all your ways are pleasantness and all your paths are peace. That's it as far as chapter number 12 is concerned. Let us go ahead with highlights to recall of chapter number 12. First, remember that the subconscious mind has determined the success and wonderful achievements of all great scientific workers. Second, by giving your conscious attention and devotion to the solution of perplexing problem, your subconscious mind gathers all the necessary information and presents it full blown to the conscious mind. Third, if you were wondering about the answer to a problem, try to solve it objectively. Get all the information you can from research and also from others. If no answer comes, turn it over to your subconscious mind prior to sleep, and answer always comes. It never fails. Fourth one, you do not always get the answer overnight. Keep on turning your request over to your subconscious until the day breaks and shadows flee away. Fifth one, you delay the answer by thinking it will take a long time or that it is a major problem. Your subconscious has no problem, it knows only the answer. Sixth, believe that you have the answer now. Feel the joy of the answer and the way you would feel if you had the perfect answer. Your subconscious will respond to your feeling. Seventh one, any mental picture backed by faith and perseverance will come to pass through the miracle working power of your subconscious. Trust it, believe in its power, and wonders will happen as you pray. Eighth one, your subconscious is the storehouse of memory, and within your subconscious are recorded all your experiences since childhood. Ninth one, Scientists meditating on ancient scrolls, temples, fossils, etc. are able to reconstruct scenes of the past and make them alive today. Their subconscious mind comes to their aid. 10. Turn over your request for a solution to your subconscious prior to sleep. Trust it and believe in it, and the answer will come. It knows all and sees all, but you must not doubt or question its powers. 11th one, the action is your thought and the reaction is the response of your subconscious mind. If your thoughts are wise, your actions and decisions will be wise. And finally, 12th one, guidance comes as feelings and inner awareness, an overpowering hunch whereby you know that you know. It is an inner sense of touch. Follow it. Let us go ahead with chapter number 13, your subconscious and the wonders of sleep. You spend about 8 out of every 24 hours or 1/3 of your entire life in sleep. This is an inexorable law of life. This also applies to the animal and vegetable kingdoms. Sleep is a divine law, and many answers to our problems come to us when we are sound asleep upon the bed. Many people have advocated the theory that you get tired during the day, that you go to sleep to rest the body, and that a reparative process takes place while you sleep. Nothing rests in sleep. Your heart, lungs, and your vital organs functions while you are asleep. If you eat prior to sleep, the food is digested and assimilated. Also, your skin secretes perspiration and your nails and hair continue to grow. Your subconscious mind never rests or sleeps. It is always active, controlling all your vital forces. The healing process takes place more rapidly while you are asleep, as there is no interference from your conscious mind. Remarkably, answers are given to you while you are asleep. Remarkably, answers are given to you while you are asleep, filled with images, whips of dreams. As hours of sleep loss mounted, the lapses took place more often and lasted longer, perhaps 2 or 3 seconds. Even if the subject had been piloting an airliner in a thunderstorm, they still couldn't have resisted microsleeps for those few priceless seconds. And it can happen to you, as many who have fallen asleep at the wheel of a car can testify. Another startling effect of sleep deprivation was its attack on human memory and perception. Many sleep-deprived subjects were unable to retain information long enough to relate it to the task they were supposed to perform. They were totally befuddled in a situation requiring them to hold several factors in mind and act on them, as a pilot must when he skillfully integrates wind direction, airspeed, altitude, and glide path to make the safe landing. Sleep brings counsel. A young lady in Los Angeles who listens to my morning radio talks told me that she had been offered a lucrative position in New York City at twice her present salary. She was wondering whether to accept or not and prayed prior to sleep as follows: the creative intelligence of my subconscious mind knows what is best for me. Its tendency is always lifeward, and it reveals to me the right decision, which blesses all concerned. I give thanks to the answer which I know will come to me. She repeated this simple prayer over and over again as a lullaby prior to sleep, and in the morning she had a persistent feeling that she should not accept the offer. She rejected the offer, and subsequent events verified her inward sense of knowing, because the company went bankrupt in a few months following their offer of employment to her.
The conscious mind may be correct on the facts objectively known, but the intuitive faculty of her subconscious mind saw the failure of the concern in question and prompted her accordingly. Saved from a certain disaster. I will illustrate how the wisdom of your subconscious mind can instruct you and protect you relative to your request for right action as you go to sleep. Many years ago, before the Second World War, I was offered a very lucrative assignment in the Orient, and I prayed for the guidance and the right decision as follows. Infinite intelligence within me knows all things, and the right decision is revealed to me in a divine order. I will recognize the answer when it comes. I repeated this simple prayer over and over again as a lullaby prior to sleep, and in a dream came the vivid realization of things to come. 3 years hence, an old friend appeared in the dream and said, "Read these headlines, do not go." The headlines of the newspaper which appeared in the dream related to war and attack on Pearl Harbor. Occasionally, the writer dreams literally. The aforementioned dream was undoubtedly a dramatization of the subconscious mind, which projected a person whom I trusted and respected. To some, a warning may come in the form of a mother who appears in a dream. She tells the person not to go here or there and the reason for the warning. Your subconscious mind is all wise. It knows all things. Oftentimes, it will speak to you only in a voice that your conscious mind will immediately accept as a truth. Sometimes your subconscious will warn you in a voice which sounds like that of your mother or some loved one, which may cause you to stop on a street, and you find if you had gone another foot, a falling object from a window might have struck you on the head. My subconscious mind is one of the universal subconscious, and it knew the Japanese were planning a war, and it also knew when the war would start. Dr. Ryan, director of Department of Psychology at Duke University, has gathered together a vast amount of evidences showing that a great number of people all over the world see events before they happen, and in many instances are therefore able to avoid the tragic event which was foreseen vividly in a dream. The dream which I had showed clearly the headlines of the New York Times about 3 years prior to the tragedy of Pearl Harbor. The dream which I had showed clearly the headlines in the New York Times about 3 years prior to the tragedy of Pearl Harbor. In consequence of this dream, I immediately cancelled the trip as I felt a subconscious compulsion to do so. 3 years later, the Second World War proved the truth of the inner voice of intuition. Your future is in your subconscious mind. Remember that the future, the result of your habitual thinking, is already in your mind, except when you change it through prayer. The future of a country likewise is in the collective subconscious of the people of that nation. There is nothing strange in the dream and I had wherein I saw a headline of the New York newspaper long before the war began. The war had already taken place in mind, and all the plans of attack were already engraved on that great recording instrument, the subconscious mind or collective unconscious of the universal mind. Tomorrow's events are in your subconscious mind, so are next week's and next month's, and they may be seen by a highly psychic or clairvoyant person. No disaster or tragedy can happen to you if you decide to pray. Nothing is predetermined or foreordained. Your mental attitude, that is the way you think, feel and believe, determines your destiny. You You can, through scientific prayers, which is explained in a previous chapter, mold, fashion, and create your own future. Whatsoever a man soweth, that shall he also reap. A catnap nets him $15,000. One of my students mailed me a newspaper clipping 3 or 4 years ago about a man called Ray, a roller at the steel works operated by Jones and Livingston Steel Corporation. He received $15,000 for his dream. According to the article, the engineers could not fix a faulty switch in a newly installed bar mill which controlled the delivery of straight bars to the cooling beds. The engineers worked on the switch about 11 to 12 times to no avail. Hammerstrom thought a lot about a problem and tried to figure out a new design which might work. Nothing worked. One afternoon, he lay down for a nap, and prior to sleep, he began to think about the answer to the switch problem. He had a dream in which a perfect design for the switch was portrayed. When he awake, he sketched his new design according to the outline of his dream. This visionary catnap won Hammerstrom a check of $15,000, the largest award the firm ever gave to an employee for a new idea. How a famous professor solved his problem in sleep. Dr. H.V. Helfrich, professor of Assyrian at the University of Pennsylvania, wrote as follows. One Saturday evening, I had been wearing myself in the vain attempt to decipher two small fragments of agate which were supposed to belong to the finger rings of some Babylonians. About midnight, weary and exhausted, and I went to bed and dreamed the following remarkable dream. A tall, thin priest of Nippur, about 40 years of age, led me to a treasure chamber of the temple, a small, low-ceiled room without windows, while scraps of agate and lapis lazuli lay scattered on the floor. Here he addressed me as follows. The two fragments which you have published separately on page 22 and 26 belongs together are not finger rings. The first two rings served as earrings for statue of the god. The two fragments you have are the portions of them. If you will put them together, you will have confirmation of my words. I woke at once. I examined the fragments and, to my astonishment, found the dream verified. The problem was then at last solved. This demonstrates clearly the creative manifestation of his subconscious mind, which knew the answer to all his problems. How the subconscious worked for a famous writer while he slept. Robert Louis Stevenson is in one of his books, Across the Plains, devotes a whole chapter to dreams. He was a vivid dreamer and had the persistent habit of giving specific instruction to his subconscious every night prior to sleep. He would request his subconscious to evolve stories for him while he slept. For example, if Robert funds were at low ebb, his command to his subconscious would be something like this: give me a good thrilling novel which will be remarkable and profitable. His subconscious responded magnificently. Robert says these little brovins, the intelligence and powers of his subconscious, can tell me a story piece by piece, like a serial, and keep me, it supposed creator, all the while in a total ignorance of where they am. And he added, the part of my work which is done when I am up and about, while he is consciously aware and awake, is by no means necessarily mine, since all goes to show that the brownies have a hand in it even then. Sleep in peace and wake in joy. To those who suffer from insomnia, you will find the following. Following prayer very effective. Repeated slowly, quietly, lovingly prior to sleep. My toes are relaxed, my ankles are relaxed, my abdominal muscles are relaxed, my heart and lungs are relaxed, my hands and arms are relaxed, my neck is relaxed, my brain is relaxed, my face is relaxed, my eyes are relaxed, my whole mind and body are relaxed. I fully, freely forgive everyone and I sincerely wish for them harmony, health, peace, and all the blessings of me. I am at peace, I am poised, serene, and calm. I rest in security and in peace. I greet stillness stills over me, and a great calm quiets my whole being as I realize the divine presence within me. I know the realization of life and love heals me. I wrap myself in a mantle of love and fall asleep filled with goodwill for all. Throughout the night, peace remains with me, and in the morning, I shall be filled with life and love. A circle of love is drawn around me. I will fear no evil, for through art with me, I sleep in peace, I wake in joy, and in Him I live, move, and have my beings. That's it as far as chapter number 13 is concerned. Let us have a look at summary of your aids to the wonders of sleep as far as chapter number 13 is concerned. First, if you are worried that you will not wake up on time, suggest to your subconscious mind prior to sleep the exact time you wish to arise and it will awaken you. It needs no clock. Do the same thing with all problems. There is nothing too hard for your subconscious. Second, your subconscious never sleeps. It is always on the job. It controls all your vital functions. Forgive yourself and everyone else before you go to sleep, and healing will take place much more rapidly. Third, guidance is given to you while you are asleep, sometimes in a dream. The healing currents are also released, and in the morning you feel refreshed and rejuvenated. Fourth one, when troubled by the vexation and strife of the day, still the wheels of your mind and think about the wisdom and intelligence lost in your subconscious mind, which is ready to respond to you. This will give you peace, strength, and confidence. Fifth one, sleep is essential for peace of mind and health of body. Lack of sleep can cause irritation, depression, and mental disorders. You need 8 hours sleep. Sixth, medical research scholars point out that insomnia precedes psychotic breakdowns. Seventh one, you are spiritually recharged during sleep. Adequate sleep is essential for joy and vitality in a life. Eighth one, your tired brain craves sleep so hungrily that it will sacrifice anything to get it. Many who have fallen asleep at the wheel of an automobile can testify to this. Ninth one, many sleep deprived people have poor memories and lack proper coordination. They become baffled, confused, and disoriented. 10th, sleep brings counsel. Prior to sleep, claim that the infinite intelligence of your subconscious mind is guiding and directing you. Then watch for the lead which comes perhaps on awakening. 11th one, trust your subconscious completely. Know that its tendency is always lifeward. Occasionally, your subconscious answers you in a very vivid dream and a vision in the night. You can forward in a dream in the same way as the author of this book was warned. 12th one, your future is in your mind now based on your habitual thinking and beliefs. Claim infinite intelligence leads and guides you, and that all goods in your life and your future will be wonderful. Believe it and accept it. Expect the best, and invariably the best will come to you. 13th one, if you are writing a novel, play, or book, or are working on an invention, speak to your subconscious mind at night and claim boldly that its wisdom, intelligence, and power are guiding, directing, and revealing to you the ideal play, novel, book, or revealing the perfect solution, whatever it may be. Wonders will happen as you pray this way. Let us go ahead with chapter number 14, your subconscious mind, and chapter number 14, your subconscious mind and marital problems. Ignorance of the functions and powers of the mind is the cause of all marital trouble. Each using the law of mind correctly can solve friction between husband and wife. By praying together, they stay together. The contemplation of divine ideals and the study of the laws of life, the mutual agreement on a common purpose and plan, and the enjoyment of personal freedom bring about the harmonious marriage and wedded bliss, that sense of oneness where the two become one. The best time to prevent divorce is before marriage. It is not wrong to try to get out of a very bad situation. But why get into a bad situation in the first place? Would it not be better to give attention to the real cause of marital problems? In other words, to really get at the root of the matter involved. As with all other problems of men and women, the problem of divorce, separation, annulment, and endless litigation are directly traceable to lack of knowledge of the working and interrelationship of conscious and subconscious mind. The meaning of marriage. Marriage to be real must first be on a spiritual basis. It must be of heart, and the heart is the chalice of love. Honesty, sincerity, kindness, and integrity are also forms of love. Each partner should be perfectly honest and sincere with the other. It is not a true marriage when a man marries a woman for her money, social position, or to lift his ego, because this indicates a lack of sincerity, honesty, and true love. Such a marriage is a farce, a sham, and a misguided. When a woman says, I am tired working, I want to get married because I want security, her premise is false. She is not using the laws of mind correctly. Her security depends upon her knowledge of the interaction of the conscious and subconscious mind and its application. I need to repeat this. Her security depends upon her knowledge of the interaction of conscious and subconscious mind and its application. For example, a woman will never lack for wealth or health if she applies the techniques outlined in the respective chapters of this book. Her wealth can come to her independent of her husband, father, or anyone else. A woman is not dependent on her husband for health, peace, joy, inspiration, guidance, love, wealth, security, happiness, or anything in the world. Her security and peace of mind come from her knowledge of the inner powers within her and from the constant use of the laws of her own mind in the constructive fashion. How to attract the ideal husband? You are now acquainted with the way your subconscious mind works. You know that whatever you impress upon it will be experienced in your world. Begin now to impress your subconscious mind with the qualities and characteristics you desire in a man. The following is an excellent technique. Sit down at night in your armchair, close your eyes, let go, relax the body, become very quiet, passive, and receptive. Talk to your subconscious mind and say to it, I am now attracting a man into my experience who is honest, sincere, loyal, faithful, peaceful, happy, and prosperous. These qualities which I admire are sinking down into my subconscious mind now. As I dwell upon these characteristics, they become a part of me and are embodied subconsciously. I know there is an irresistible law of attraction and that I attract to me a man according to my subconscious belief. I attract that which I feel to be true in my subconscious mind. I know I can contribute to his peace and happiness. He loves my ideals and I love his ideals. He does not want to make me over, neither do I want to make him over. There is mutual love, freedom, and respect. Practice this process of impregnating your subconscious mind. Then you will have the joy of attracting to you a man possessing the qualities and characteristics you mentally dwelled upon. Your subconscious intelligence will open up a pathway whereby both of you will meet according to the irresistible and changeless flow of your own subconscious mind. Have a keen desire to give the best that is in you of love, devotion, and cooperation. Be receptive to this gift of love which you have given to your subconscious mind. How to attract the ideal wife? Affirm as follows: I now attract the right woman who is in complete accord with him. This is a spiritual union because it is a divine love functioning through the personality of someone with whom I blend perfectly. I know I can give to this woman love, light, peace, and joy. I feel and believe I can make this woman's life full, complete, and wonderful. I now decree that she possesses the following qualities and attributes. She is spiritual, loyal, faithful, and true. She is harmonious, peaceful, and happy. We are irresistibly attracted to each other. Only that which belongs to love, truth, and beauty can enter my experience. Accept my ideal companion now. As you think quietly and with interest on the qualities and attributes which you admire in the companion you seek, you will build the mental equivalent into your mentality. Then the deeper currents of your subconscious mind will bring both of you together in a divine order. No need for third mistake. Recently, a teacher said to me, I have had 3 husbands and all 3 have been passive, submissive, and dependent on me to make all decisions and govern everything. Why do I attract such a type of men? I asked her whether she had known that her second husband was the effeminate type, and she replied, of course not. Had I known, I would not have married him. Apparently, she had not learned anything from the first mistake. The trouble was with her personality makeup. She was very masculine, dominating, and unconsciously wanted someone who would be submissive and passive so that she could play the dominant role. All this was unconscious motivation, and her subconscious picture attracted to her what she subjectively wanted. She had to learn to break the pattern by adopting the right prayer process. How she broke the negative pattern. The above mentioned woman learned a simple truth: when you believe you can have the type of man you idealize, it is done unto you as you believe. The following is the specific prayer she used to break the old subconscious pattern and attract to her the ideal man. I am building into my mentality the type of man I deeply desire. The man I attract for a husband is strong, powerful, loving, very masculine, successful, honest, loyal, and faithful. He finds love and happiness with me. I love to follow where he leads. I know he wants me and I want him. I am honest, sincere, loving, and kind. I have wonderful gifts to offer him. They are goodwill, a joyous heart, and a healthy body. He offers me the same. It is mutual. I give and I receive. Divine intelligence knows where this man is, and the deeper wisdom of my subconscious mind is now bringing both of us together in its own way, and we recognize each other immediately. I realize this request to my subconscious mind, which knows how to bring my request to pass. I give thanks for the perfect answer. She prayed in the above manner night and morning, affirming these truths and knowing that through frequent occupation of the mind, she would reach the mental equivalent of that which she sought. The answer to her prayer. Several months went by. She had a great number of dates and social engagements, none of which was agreeable to her. When she was about to question, waver, doubt, and vacillate, she reminded herself that the infinite intelligence was bringing it to pass in its own way, and that there was nothing to be concerned about. Her final decree in her divorce proceedings was granted, which brought her a great sense of release and mental freedom. Shortly afterward, she went to work as a receptionist in a doctor's office. She told me that the minute she saw a physician, she knew he was the man she was praying about. Apparently, he knew it too because he proposed to her the first week she was in the office, and their subsequent marriage was ideally happy. This physician was not the passive or submissive type but was a real man, a former football player, an outstanding athlete, and was a deeply spiritual man, though he was completely devoid of any sectarian or denominational affiliation. She got what she prayed for because she claimed it mentally until she reached the point of saturation. In other words, she mentally and emotionally united with her idea, and it became a part of her in the same way that an apple becomes a part of her bloodstream. Should I get a divorce? Divorce is an individual problem. It cannot be generalized. In some cases, of course, there never should have been a marriage. In some cases, divorce is not the solution, no more so than marriage is the solution for lonely man. Divorce may be right for one person and wrong for another. A divorced woman may be far more sincere and noble than many of her married sisters who perhaps are living a lie. For example, I once talked with a woman whose husband was a dope fiend, an ex-convict, a wife beater, and a non-provider. She had been told it was wrong to get a divorce. I explained to her that marriage is of the heart. If two hearts blend harmoniously, lovingly, sincerely, that is the ideal marriage. The pure action of the heart is love. Following this explanation, she knew what to do. She knew in her heart that there is no divine law which compelled her to be browbeaten, intimidated, and beaten because someone said, I pronounce you man and wife. If you are in a doubt as to what to do, ask for guidance, knowing that there is always an answer and you will receive it. Follow the lead that comes to you in the silence of your soul. It speaks to you in peace. Drifting into divorce. Recently, a young couple married for only a few months was seeking a divorce. I discovered that the young man had a constant fear that his wife would leave him. He expected rejection and he believed that she would be unfaithful. These thoughts haunted his mind and became an obsession with him. His mental attitude was one of separation and suspicion. She left unresponsive to him. It was his own feeling or atmosphere of loss and separation operation through them. This brought about a condition or action in accordance with a mental pattern behind it. There is a law of action and a reaction or cause and effect. The thought is the action and the response of the subconscious mind is the reaction. His wife left home and asked for a divorce, which is what he feared and believed she would do. Divorce begins in the mind. Divorce takes place first in the mind, the legal proceedings follow after. These two young people were full of resentment, fear, suspicion, and anger. These attitudes weakens, exhaust, and deliberate and debilitate the whole being. They learned that hate divides and that love unites. They began to realize what they had been doing with their minds. Neither one of them knew the law of mental action, nor they were misusing their minds and bringing on chaos and misery. These two people went back together at my suggestion and experimented with a prayer therapy. They began to radiate love, peace, and goodwill to each other. Each one practiced radiating harmony, health, peace, and love to the other, and they alternated in the reading of the psalms every night. Their marriage is growing more beautiful every day. The nagging wife. Many times the reason the wife nags is because she gets no attention. Oftentimes it is a craving for love and affection. Give your wife attention and show your appreciation. Praise and exalt all her many good points. There is also a nagging type of woman who wants to make the man conforms to her particular pattern. This is about the quickest way in the world to get rid of a man. The wife and the husband must cease being scavengers, always looking at the petty faults or errors in each other. Let each give attention and praise for the constructive and wonderful qualities in the order. The brooding husband. If a man begins to brood, grows morbid against his wife because of the things she said or did, psychologically speaking, committing adultery. One of the meaning of adultery is idolatry, that is, giving attention to or uniting mentally with that which is negative and destructive. When a man is silently resenting his wife and is full of hostility towards her, he is unfaithful. He is not faithful to his marriage vows, which are to love, cherish, and honor her all the days of his life. The man who is brooding, bitter, and resentful can swallow his sharp remarks, abate his anger, and he can go to great lengths to be considerate, kind, and courteous. He can defy skirts and differences. Through praise and mental effort, he can get out of his habit of antagonism. Then he will be able to get along better not only with his wife but with the business associates also. Assume the harmonious state and eventually you will find peace and harmony. The great mistake. A great mistake is to discuss your marital problems or difficulties with neighbors and relatives. Suppose, for example, a wife says to neighbor, John never gives me any money, he treats my mother abnormally, drinks to excess, and is constantly abusive and insulting. Now, this wife is degrading and belittling her husband in the eyes of all neighbors and relatives. He no longer appears as the ideal husband to them. Never discuss your marital problems with anyone except a trained counselor. Why cause numerous people to think negatively of your marriage? Moreover, as you discuss and dwell upon these shortcomings of your husband, you are actually creating these states within yourself. Who is thinking and feeling it? You are. As you think and feel, so are you. Relatives will usually give you the wrong advice. It is usually biased and prejudiced because it is not given in an impersonal way. Any advice you receive which violates the golden rule, which is a cosmic law, is not good or sound. It is well to remember that no two human beings ever lived beneath the same roof without clashes of temperaments, periods of hurts and strain. Never display the unhappy side of your marriage to your friends. Keep your quarrels to yourself. Refrain from criticism and condemnation of your partner. Don't try to make your wife over. A husband must not try to make his wife over into a second edition of himself. The tactless attempt to change her in many ways is foreign to her nature. These attempts are always foolish and many times result is a dissolution of the marriage. These attempts are attempts to alter her, destroy her pride and self-esteem, and arouse a spirit of consternation and resentment that proves fatal to the marriage bond. Adjustments are needed, of course, but if you have a good look inside your own mind and study your character and behavior, you will find so many shortcomings they will keep you busy the rest of your me. If you say, I will make him over into what I want, you are looking for trouble and a divorce court. You are asking for misery. You will have to learn the hard way that there is no one to change but yourself. Pray together and stay together. Pray together and stay together through steps in prayer. The first step, never carry over from one day to another accumulated irritations arising from the little disappointments. Be sure to forgive each other for any sharpness before you retire at night. The moment you awaken in the morning, claim infinite intelligence is guiding you in all your ways. Send out loving thoughts of peace, harmony, and love to your marriage partner, to all members of the family, and to the whole world. The second step, say grace at breakfast. Give thanks for the wonderful food, for your abundance, and for all your blessings. Make sure that no problems, worries, or arguments shall enter into the table conversation. The same applies to dinner time. Say to your wife or husband, I appreciate all you are doing and I radiate love and goodwill to you all the day long. The third step, the husband and wife should alternate in praying each night. Do not take your marriage partner for granted. Show your appreciation and love. Think appreciation and goodwill rather than condemnation or criticism and nagging. The way to build a peaceful home and a happy marriage is to use a foundation of love, beauty, harmony, mutual respect, faith in God, and all things good. Read the 23rd, 27th, and 91st Psalms and the 11th chapter of Hebrews, the 13th chapter of Iconoclasm, and other great texts of the Bible before going to sleep. As you practice these truths, your marriage will grow more and more blessed through the years. That's it as far as chapter number 14 is concerned. Let us go ahead with review your actions from chapter number 14. First, ignorance of mental and spiritual laws is the cause of all marital unhappiness. By praying scientifically together, you can stay together. Second, the best time to prevent divorce is before marriage. If you learn how to pray in the right way, you will attract the right mate for you. Third one, marriage is the union of a man and woman who are bound together by love. Their hearts beats as one and they move onward, upward, and Godward. Fourth one, marriage does not bequeath happiness. People find happiness by dwelling on the eternal truth of God and the spiritual values of life. Then the man and woman can contribute to each other's happiness and joy. Fifth one, you attract the right mate by dwelling on the qualities and characteristics you admire in a woman or a man, and then your subconscious mind will bring you together in a divine order. Sixth one, you must build into your mentality the mental equivalent of what you want in your marriage partner. If you want to attract an honest, sincere, and loving partner in life, you must be honest, sincere, and loving yourself. Seventh one, you do not have to repeat mistakes in marriage. When you really believe you can have the type man or woman you idealize, it is done unto you as you believe. To believe is to accept something as true. Accept your ideal companion now mentally. Eighth one, Do not wonder how, why, or where you will meet the mate you are praying for. Trust implicitly the wisdom of your subconscious mind. It has the know-how and you don't have to assist it. Ninth one, you are mentally divorced when you are indulged in peace, grudges, ill will, and hostility towards your marriage partner. You are mentally dwelling with error in the bed of your mind. Adhere to your marriage vows. I promise to cherish, love, and honor him or her all the days of my life. Tenth one, cease projecting fear patterns to your marriage partner. Project love, peace, harmony, and goodwill, and your marriage will grow more beautiful and more wonderful through the years. 11th one, radiate love, peace, and goodwill to each other. These vibrations are picked up by the subconscious mind and resulting in mutual trust, affection, and respect. 12th one, a nagging wife is usually seeking attention and appreciation. She is craving for love and affection. Praise and exalt her many good points. Show her that you love her and appreciate her. 13th one, a man who loves his wife does not do anything unloving or unkind in words, manner, or action. Love is what love does. 14th one, in marital problems, always seek expert advice. You would not go to a carpenter to pull a tooth, neither should you discuss your marriage problems with relatives or friends. You should go to a trained person for counsel. 15th one, never try to make your wife or husband over. These attempts are always foolish and tend to destroy the pride and self-esteem of the other. Moreover, it arouses a spirit of resentment that proves fatal to the marriage bond. Cease trying to make the other second edition of yourself. And finally, 16th one, pray together and you will stay together. Scientific prayer solves all problems. Mentally picture your wife as she ought to be: joyous, happy, healthy, and beautiful. See your husband as he ought to be: strong, powerful, loving, harmonious, and kind. Maintain this mental picture and you will experience the marriage made in heaven, which is harmony and peace. That's it. Let us go ahead with chapter number 15, your subconscious mind and your happiness. William James, father of American psychology, said that the greatest discovery of the 19th century was not in the realm of physical science. The greatest discovery was the power of subconsciousness, the power of subconscious touched by faith. In every human being is that limitless reservoir of power which can overcome any problem in the world. True and lasting happiness will come into your life the day you get the clear realization that you can overcome any weakness, the day you realize that your subconscious can solve your problems, heal your body, and prosper you beyond your fondest dream. You might have felt very happy when your child was born, when you got married, when you got graduated from the college, when you won a great victory or a prize. You might have been very happy when you became engaged to the loveliest girl or the most handsome man. You could go on and list innumerable experiences which have made you happy. However, no matter how marvelous these experiences are, they do not give real lasting happiness, they are transitory. The book of the Proverbs gives the answer: whoever trusteth in the Lord, happy is he. When you trust in the Lord, the power of the wisdom of your subconscious mind to lead, guide, govern, and direct all your ways, you will become poised, serene, and relaxed. As you radiate love, peace, and goodwill to all, you are really building a superstructure of happiness for all the day of your life. You must choose happiness. Happiness is a state of mind. There is a phrase in the Bible which says, "Choose you this day who you will serve." You have the freedom to choose happiness. This may seem extraordinarily simple, and it is. Perhaps this is why people stumble over the way to happiness. They do not see the simplicity of the key to happiness. The great things of the life are simple, dynamic, and creative. They produce well being and happiness. St. Paul reveals to you how you can think your way into a life of dynamic power and happiness in these words. Finally, brethren, whatsoever things are true, whatsoever things are honest, whatsoever things are just, whatsoever things are pure, whatsoever things are lovely, whatsoever things are of good report, if there be any virtue and if there be any praise, think on these things. How to choose happiness? Begin now to choose happiness. This is how you do it. When you open your eyes in the morning, say to yourself, Divine order takes charge of my life today and every day. All things work together for good for me today. This is a new and wonderful day for me. There will never be another day like this one. I am divinely guided all day long, and whatsoever I do will prosper. Divine love surrounds me, enfolds me, and enwraps me, and I go forth in peace. Whenever my attention wanders away from that which is good and constructive, I will immediately bring it back to the contemplation of that which is lovely and of good report. I am a spiritual and mental magnet, attracting to myself all things which bless and prosper me. I am going to be a wonderful success in all my undertakings today. I am definitely going to be happy all day long. Start each day in this manner, then you will be choosing happiness and you will be a radiant, joyous person. He made it a habit to be happy. A number of years ago, I stayed for about a week in a farmer's house in Connemara on the west coast of the Ireland. He seemed to be always singing and whistling and was full of humor. I asked him the secret of his happiness, and his reply was, "It is a habit of mine to be happy. Every morning when I awaken and every night before I go to sleep, I bless my family, the crops, the cattle, and I thank God for the wonderful harvest." This farmer had made a practice of this for over 40 years. As you know, thoughts repeated regularly and systematically sink into a subconscious mind and become habitual. He discovered that happiness is a habit. You must desire to be happy. There is one very important point about being happy. You must sincerely desire to be happy. There are people who have been depressed, dejected, and unhappy so long that they suddenly made happy by some wonderful, good, joyous news. They would actually be like the woman who said to me, "It is wrong to be so happy." They have been so accustomed to the old mental patterns that they do not feel at home being happy. They long for the former depressed and unhappy state. I knew a woman in England who had rheumatism for many years. She would pat herself on the knee and say, "My rheumatism is bad today. I cannot go out. My rheumatism keeps me miserable." This dear elderly lady got a lot of attention from her son, daughter, and neighbors. She really wanted her rheumatism. He enjoyed her misery, as she called it. This woman did not really want to be happy. I suggest a curative procedure to her. I wrote down some biblical verses and told her that if she gave attention to these truths, her mental attitude would undoubtedly change and would result in her faith and confidence in being restored to health. She was not interested. There seems to be a peculiar mental and morbid streak in many people whereby they seem to enjoy being miserable and sad. Why choose unhappiness? Many people choose unhappiness by entertaining these ideas. Today is a black day. Everything is going to go wrong. I'm not going to succeed. Everyone is against me. Business is bad and it is going to get worse. I'm always late. I never get the breaks. He can, but I can't. If you have this attitude of mind the first thing in the morning you will attract all these experiences to you and you will be very unhappy. Begin to realize that the world you live in is determined largely by what goes on in your mind. Marcus Aurelius, the great Roman philosopher and sage, said, "A man's life is what his thoughts makes of it." I need to repeat this. A man's life is what his thoughts make of it. Emerson, America's foremost philosopher, said, "A man is what he thinks all day long." A man is what he thinks all day long. The thoughts you habitually entertain in your mind have the tendency to actualize themselves in physical conditions. Make certain you do not indulge in negative thoughts, defeated thoughts, or unkind, depressing thoughts. Recall frequently to your mind that you can experience nothing outside your own mentality. If I had $1 million, I would be happy. I have visited many men in mental institutions who were millionaires, but they insisted they were penniless and destitute. They were incarnated because of psychotic, paranoid, and mental tendencies. Wealth in and of itself will not make you happy. On the other hand, it is not a deterrent to happiness. Today, there are many people trying to buy happiness through the purchase of radios, television sets, automobiles, a home in the country, a private yacht, and a swimming pool. But happiness cannot be purchased or procured in that way. The kingdom of happiness is in your thoughts and feelings. Too many people have the idea that it takes something artificial to produce happiness. Some say if I were elected mayor, made president of the organization, promoted to general manager of the corporation, I would be happy. The truth is that happiness is a mental and spiritual state. None of these positions mentioned will necessarily bequeath happiness. Your strength, joy, happiness consists in finding out the law of divine order and right action lodged in your subconscious mind, and by applying these principles in all phases of your life. He found happiness to be the harvest of a quiet man. Lecturing in San Francisco some years ago, I interviewed a man who was very unhappy and dejected over the way his business was going. He was the general manager. His heart was filled with resentment towards the vice president and the president of organization. He claimed that they opposed him. Because of this internal strife, business was declining. He was receiving no dividends or stock bonuses. This is how he solved his business problem. The first thing in the morning, he affirmed quietly as follows: all those working in our corporation are honest, sincere, cooperative, faithful, and full of goodwill to all. They are mental and spiritual links in the chains of this corporation's growth, welfare, and prosperity. I radiate love, peace, and goodwill in my thoughts, words, and deeds to my two associates and to all those in the company. The president and the vice president of our company are divinely guided in all their undertakings. The infinite intelligence of my subconscious mind makes all decisions through me. There is only right action in all our business transactions and in our relationship with each other. I send the messengers of peace, love, and goodwill before me to the office. Peace and harmony reigns supreme in the minds and hearts of all those in the company, including myself. I now go forth into a new day full of faith, confidence, and trust. This business executive repeated the above meditation slowly 3 times in the morning, feeling the truth of what he affirmed. When fearful or angry thoughts came into his mind during the day, he would say to himself, "Peace, harmony, poise govern my mind at all times." As he continued disciplining his mind in this manner, all the harmful thoughts ceased to come and peace came into his mind. He reaped the harvest. Subsequently, he wrote me to the effect that at the end of about 2 weeks of reordering his mind, the president and vice president called him into the office, praised his operations and his new constructive ideas, and remarked how fortunate they were in having him as a general manager. He was very happy in discovering that man finds happiness within himself. The block or stump is not really there. I read a newspaper article some years ago which told about a horse that had shined when he came to a stump on the road. Subsequently, every time the horse came to that same stump, he shied. The farmer dug the stump out, burned it, and leveled the old road. Yet for 25 years, every time the horse passed the place where the former stump was, he shied. The horse was shying at the memory of a stump. There is no block to your happiness save in your own thought life and mental imagery. Is fear or worry holding you back? Fear is a thought in your mind. You can dig it up this very moment by supplementing it with the faith in success, achievement, and victory over all problems. I knew a man who failed in business. He said to me, "I made mistakes. I have learned a lot. I am going back into business and I will be a tremendous success." He faced up that stump in his mind. He did not whine or complain, but he tore up the stump of failure, and though believing in his inner power to back him up, he banished all fear thoughts and old depressions. Believing in yourself and you will succeed and be happy. The happiest people. The happiest man is he who constantly brings forth and practices what is best in him. Happiness and virtue complements each other. The best are not only the happiest, but the happiest are usually the best in the art of living life successfully. God is the highest and best in you. Express more of God's love, light, truth, and beauty, and you will become one of the happiest person in the world today. Epictetus, the Greek Stoic philosopher, said, "There is but one way to tranquility of mind and happiness. Let this therefore be always ready at hand with thee, both when thou wakest early in the morning and all the day long, and when thou goes late to sleep, to account no external thing thine own, but commit all these to God." That's it as far as chapter number 15 is concerned. Let us go ahead with a summary of steps to happiness as far as chapter number 15 is concerned. First, William James said that the greatest discovery of 19th century was the power of subconscious mind touched by faith. Second, there is a tremendous power within you. Happiness will come to you when you acquire a sublime confidence in this power. Then you will make your dreams come true. Third, you can rise victorious over any defeat and realize the cherished desires of your heart through the marvelous power of your subconscious mind. This is the meaning of whosoever trusts in the Lord, spiritual laws of the subconscious mind, happy is he. Fourth one, you must choose happiness. Happiness is a habit. It is a good habit to ponder upon it. Whatsoever things are true, whatsoever things are honest, whatsoever things are just, whatsoever things are pure, whatsoever things are lovely, whatsoever things are of a good report, if there be any virtue and if there be any praise, think on these things. Fifth one, when you open your eyes in the morning, say to yourself, I choose happiness today, I choose success today, I choose right action today, I choose love and goodwill for all today, I choose peace today. Pour life, love and interest into this affirmation and you have chosen happiness. Sixth, give thanks for all your blessings several times a day. Furthermore, pray for the peace, happiness, and prosperity of all members of your family, your associates, and all people everywhere. Seventh one, you must sincerely desire to be happy. Nothing is accomplished without desire. Desire is a wish with wings of imagination and faith. Imagine the fulfillment of your desire and feel its reality, and it will come to pass. Happiness comes to answered prayer. Happiness comes in answered prayer. Eighth one, by constantly dwelling on thoughts of fear, worry, anger, hate, and failure, you will become very depressed and unhappy. Remember, your life is what your thoughts make of it. Ninth one, you cannot buy happiness with all the money in the world. Some millionaires are very happy, some are very unhappy. Many people with very little worldly goods are very happy, and some are very unhappy. Some married people are happy and some very unhappy. Some single people are happy, some are very unhappy. The kingdom of happiness is in your thoughts and feelings. Tenth one, happiness is the harvest of a quiet mind. Anchor your thoughts on peace, poise, security, and divine guidance, and your mind will be productive and happiness. 11th one, there is no block to your happiness. External things are not causative. These are efforts, not cause. Effects, not cause. Take your cue from the only creative principle within you. Your thought is cause, and the new cause produces a new effect. Choose happiness. And finally, 12th one, the happiest man is he who brings forth the highest and the best in him. God is the highest and best in him, for the kingdom of God is within. That's it as per as the part 3 of this very special book entitled as The Power of Your Subconscious Mind is concerned. तो चलिए मिलते हैं with the next episode of this very special book entitled as The Power of Your Subconscious Mind. तब तक हंसते रहिए, मुस्कुराते रहिए और कुछ अच्छा सुनते रहिए. अगर आपको बाहर जाने की जरूरत पड़ रही है तो प्लीज वियर योर मास्क एंड मेंटेन सोशल डिस्टेंसिंग, एंड अपने जो हाथ है वो बार बार साबुन से या सैनिटाइजर से साफ करते रहिए. In order to encourage our efforts or in order to appreciate our efforts, please do subscribe to our channel and help us by sharing this video with as many people as you can. Thank you so much all of you for connecting with us, and I'm damn sure that you all are going to help me for spreading this video with as many people as you can. Thank you so much once again. Appreciate our efforts by subscribing to our channel. Thank you.